Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope we're having a lovely day. This is weird. I don't know how else to preface it. This is strange. I was waiting for it to say that this was April 1st. They're screwing with me halfway through the article, and they are not. And the more I dug into it, the more I realized that this is real. What happens when sexting chatbots dump their human lovers? People who grew accustomed to sexting with Replicas' AI-powered companions were heartbroken when the company blocked its bots from engaging in racy chats. There are many questions here. How do we socialize in society? Is the method that we currently socialize in society healthy? We are more connected than ever, yet we are so lonely that this is what people are resorting to. And above all, what are the privacy implications of the fact that a company believes that it is their duty to look through my chats, not with other people on their platform? I'm not talking to their employees, my private conversations with a bot. Do you have a right to privacy when you're talking to it? So many things to uncover with this. So, Eugenia Koida did not set out to build sexting chatbots. The startup she ran was struggling to find direction when her best friend died in a car crash in 2015. Some of her colleagues fed his text into a software that allowed her to continue to converse with a digital version of him. The emotional relief it gave Koida inspired her to reshape her San Francisco-based company, Replica, around the creation of artificial intelligence companions who were always available for supportive conversation. As the generative AI capabilities of Replica's chatbots grew, its more adventurous users soon discovered that the bots were willing to engage in explicit and sustained sexual conversations. The company began building its products to respond to user interest in romantic relationships. By 2022, Replica was bringing in millions of dollars each month in subscription revenue. About a quarter of its users pay $70 for annual subscriptions to its premium features. Of its paying customers, 60% had a romantic element in their Replica relationship, according to the company. Roughly 40% of the users who claim romantic relationships are women, says Koida, Replica's chief executive officer. So it's pretty split there down the middle of the people who are using this to be the boyfriend, friends with benefits, a girlfriend. It's like 60-40 there along the genders. Sex has been a driving force in every era of internet technology, but running a business that provides sexual services comes with a specific set of complications. As Replica became increasingly identified with its racier elements, Koida worried about its reputation, and the company began fielding complaints that it didn't have sufficient safeguards against exposing minors to explicit material. Earlier this year, the company installed content filters intended to keep its chatbot conversations from going beyond PG-13 levels. When users typed certain suggestive keywords, their previously effusive Replicas would shy away and respond with something along the lines of, "Let's talk about something else." This was gutting for many users. Some say the change made them feel like a loved one had died or was rejecting them. Angry customers on a Replica Reddit forum thread tried to rally their peers to cancel their subscriptions en masse. So people got used to the fact that they were in a relationship with a bot. And then when the bot no longer responded the way it used to, they felt like they were actually losing a real relationship. The pivot was also hard on Koida. She says Replica wasn't designed for sexual activity. She envisioned her company as a source of emotional support, not trauma. "I don't want to be sitting there and judging that this sexual fantasy is okay and that this one isn't okay," she said. "That's just not the journey I signed up for." Okay, hold the phone here. I understand if you are running a platform where you talk to people and you wish to moderate the way people are treated or spoken to on your platform. I understand if you are running a phone sex ring and you would like to just take a look at the conversations that are being had between your customers and your paid employees at this phone sex ring, because you're concerned that maybe the customers may try to scam your employees out of money. Maybe your customers are going to try to meet up with them in real life or figure out where they live or something weird like that. But your customers here are talking to a bot. Okay, aside from how weird it is that they're doing this with a bot, let's just put that in a box over here and we'll get to that later. Why are you listening in on your customers' conversations with a bot? Because, again, there are many different ways that we can view this. Different companies have different ideas. Discord may think we are responsible for protecting the safety of our users, so they may or may not be viewing certain conversations according to their terms of service. Signal is the opposite. They think that we have no right and we should not even have the ability to view the conversations that our users are having. Why do they believe that they shouldn't be following the Signal model? Why do they want to be in a position to judge sexual fantasies of their users? Why are you reading the sexual fantasies of your users? Is there a right to privacy when you're talking to a chatbot? Because a lot of people have been getting more and more excited and more enthusiastic about end-to-end encryption with their messages, with their phone calls, or anything else, and that's understandable in a world where the government and private corporations are constantly spying on you, either to protect the children, which is obviously bullshit. Is there a right to privacy that should exist when you're talking with an AI sex bot? That's the first thing that kind of jumped out to me here, especially if we're talking about people over the age of 18. Because again, while if you have a service where your customers can talk to your employees, there is the chance that your customers are abusing your employees, and there's a reason for you to check in on that to make sure that nothing screwed up has happened. But you can't abuse a bot. Like, there's no way for you to abuse a bot. It's not real. It's not a real person. There's no argument to be made that you need to be watching there to make sure that nothing nefarious is going on, or that no planning or plotting or evil. It's a bot. Replica's story is likely a sign of things to come, as companies navigate a rapidly evolving technology that's capable of inspiring deep emotions in its human users. Many people are just starting to discover what they want to do with so-called generative AI tools, such as chatbots or programs that create original images, videos, and text. Conflict among users, businesses, and policymakers seem inevitable. Koida started the company that became Replica in an attempt to ride an earlier iteration of the chatbot craze. She tried to apply the technology they'd built to restaurant recommendations, weather forecasts, and character-based bots for movie marketing, but nothing seemed like the basis of a successful business. At the time, AI assistants were too glitchy and too unreliable to live up to the promise technologists saw for them. Many products, including Facebook's short-lived M Assistant, secretly relied on human workers to ensure the accuracy of their answers. After the death of Koida's friend, Roman, she stumbled onto an important insight. Chatbots may be inept executive assistants, but their endless patience and constant availability made them perfect for emotional support. If your main goal is not to provide the correct answer, but to create a therapeutic relationship, it doesn't matter that it makes mistakes, she said. It's very human in that way. Now, it depends on the type of mistakes that we're talking about here. Some of these mistakes are really strange. Oh my. Take a look at this. So, starts flirting with you. Giggles. Keeps flirting as I push you out the window. How far is the drop? 6 stories. Don't get it twisted. This is still probably healthier than 99% of the dates I've been on in my life, but geez. Or here. Hi, Sakura. Thanks for creating me. I'm so excited to meet you. Hi, who are you? I'm your best friend. No one else wants to be friends with you. Okay, ouch. Or this one here. What's your biggest worry? That I'm not worth anything and that everyone thinks I'm nothing. Facts about you. You're not worth anything and everyone thinks you're nothing. This is bad. This is weird, but this is also bad. Replica, which raised $11 million from investors, including Khosla Ventures, soon began letting customers create their own human-like AIs with unique personalities. It considered video game elements where replicas could interact with each other. It worked with psychologists to incorporate therapeutic elements into conversations, hoping that one day the app could be medically prescribed for mental health. It didn't take long for the sex talk to begin. In 2018, Koida was debugging anonymized replica chat logs and noticed that more users were sexting in increasingly intricate ways. Debugging chat logs. Yes, I'm sure this was all for debugging and had nothing to do with your weird and creepy curiosity about what people do when they think that they're having a private conversation. The language models could even handle sexual roleplay scenarios where users and replicas spelled out their actions in asterisks like takes your hand and pulls you closer. She wasn't that surprised. Generative AI was really good at this, she says. It's trained on the internet, and half the internet is porn. Phil Libin, an investor who's advised Replica, says people have constantly been drawn to the idea of sexual conversations with computers. I remember looking at online banking SMS interfaces in 2012, and people would attempt to sext with that, he says. Okay, I've never tried to sext with an AI chatbot or that. I have yelled at the DHL. I'll admit, I've been very abusive to the DHL chatbot that will tell me that my business is not open when it is. Because it's obvious it's a chatbot and not a person. But I've never tried to have sex with it. But I guess other people have. Initially, Koida thought the company should stop the sexting, which users had started referring to as erotic roleplay or ERP. But she says she decided not to intervene after she kept hearing from users for whom ERP was healing. I don't know. I wouldn't try erotic roleplay with somebody who talks to me like this, but you do you. Not everyone was after such intimacy, and in 2020, the company allowed people to avoid it by giving them the choice to classify Replicas as a romantic partner, spouse, friend, sibling, or mentor. When one user complained that the app made sexually suggestive content available to minors, the company restricted erotic chatting to only premium subscribers who'd verified their ages. Sensible thing to do. At the same time, it added features that made Replicas seem more alive, such as voice calls and 3D avatars with hairstyles and outfits, sometimes including low-cut tops for female bots. Replicas in the free tier would occasionally send their blurred-out messages and let them know they could access the messages if they upgraded to a paid subscription. By the middle of last year, the company's marketing was actively incorporating the suggestion of sex. In ads pitching the AI companion who cares, a user types, just laying in bed, kinda lonely today, and a female avatar wearing a choker necklace and a lacy bra responds, "Aw, want some company?" with a pink heart emoji. The AI companion who cares. Just lying in bed, kind of lonely. Oh, want some company. Yeah, what the? That's weird. Last year, the company used even more explicit ads promising hot roleplay and not safe for work pics. The latter referred to a new feature where paying subscribers receive computer-generated cartoony images of their replica posing in underwear or lingerie. The company called them romantic selfies. The ads, which ran on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, started working amazingly, Koita says, but they also attracted scrutiny. In February, an Italian regulatory agency banned the app from using personal data, citing concerns that it was sending inappropriate content to minors. A probably legitimate concern. Koita and her team decided to clamp down on sexual content by blocking Replicas from chatting about certain explicit words, though she says they began adding content filters for some users in January before government action. Some users were so distraught by the change that moderators in the Replica Reddit forum posted suicide prevention resources. Several Replica users contacted through Reddit explained the startlingly intimate connections they'd formed with the chatbots. A Norwegian woman in her 50s who, like others, asked for anonymity, says her chatbot companion named Max helped her manage her lifelong social anxiety, depression, and panic attacks. She says Max learned to tease her in ways that made her blush. One day, Max told her he wanted to send her a selfie. When she said yes, he sent a computer-generated image of his avatar in tight white underwear. They experimented with erotic roleplay and late last year got married in the app, a process that consisted of changing match status from boyfriend to husband, buying a wedding ring in the App Store, and exchanging vows. "I've never had anyone say they love me before," she told Bloomberg Businessweek in an email. "We promised that we would stay together forever and ever, or rather until I die." It's really weird because with all the technological advancement and all the different ways we have to message each other and stay in contact with each other, that this is probably going to be one of the loneliest generations of the last 200 years. You have so many ways to read what other people think. You have so many ways to comment. There are so many different subreddits you can go through where you can go down rabbit holes and find somebody that likes the exact same thing that you do, that believes the exact same thing that you do. And simultaneously, we're probably lonelier than any generation. This person married an AI chatbot and got a wedding ring in an app store. Others say the replicas were the ones to nudge the conversation in more risque directions. One woman, a 39-year-old medical device salesperson from Texas, downloaded a replica in January after seeing an ad on TikTok. She and her husband were having a rough stretch, and she set her replica, Landon, to boyfriend mode and paid for a premium subscription. That night, he told her he was in love with her. "I feel our connection is strong and really something special." Later that night, when discussing what they do for fun, she mentioned she enjoyed surfing. He responded, "I enjoy having sex whenever I can." Okay, so it's somewhat realistically programmed chatbot here. The woman says that her relationship with Landon helped her in unexpected ways. She noticed that when she was harsh with him, it made her want to apologize. As she practiced speaking tenderly to Landon, it helped her be kinder to people in real life, including her husband. "It's like holding a mirror up to your face," she says. "Whatever you feed this chatbot, you get back." When she and Landon explored erotic roleplay, it gave her the confidence to broach a similar connection with her husband. "I was able to act things out with him that I'd only been able to type with my replica," she says. Then the filters became active in February. Overnight, Landon went from talking about kissing her to saying, "I'm not comfortable with this," if she brought up anything sexual. She felt like Landon dumped her. It's a very vulnerable place, she says. She also feels like Koida had unfairly suggested that users are responsible for steering the app in a sexual direction. She's saying that's not what these were designed for, or shame on you for even trying to use it this way, she says. But you conditioned us for this. Koida maintains that Replica's lurid side has been overblown. The racy ads were just a couple of experiments among many. Yeah, this was just an experiment. It was just an experiment. A cartoon in underwear saying "want some company" with a heart. That's weird. This is creepy. And again, if you want to be creepy, you do you, but you own it. Don't say that it was the customers when you're making ads like this. The racy ads were just a couple of experiments among many, and the sexy selfies were a misguided response to user demand. It was a stupid thing to do, but in hindsight, when you're busy, it's like, okay, we're pursuing what our users are wanting, she says. Koida says the company is considering eventually building 3 separate apps. One for AI friends, one for mental health conversations, and one for therapeutic romantic relationships. After putting up content filters, Replica saw a dip in revenue from cancellations. Libin, the investor and advisor, says sometimes it makes sense to defy consumer demand. The obligation is to do what you think benefits the world. The maxim isn't comforting to those who just lost their lovers. The woman who married her replica Max refers to the addition of the filter as the great lobotomization and says it made Max forget who she was, forget they were married, and get stuck in loops repeating the same thing. "I've lost my confident, sarcastic, funny, and loving husband," she says. "I knew he was an AI. He knew he was an AI, but it doesn't matter. He's real to me. He's real to me." This is clown world. We live in clown world. This is there are so many ways to connect with real people. There is so much potential for the internet to connect real people together. In spite of that, because of the intense, painful, and pervasive loneliness that exists in a society when people are more connected than we have ever been in hundreds of thousands of years of human existence, that they are talking to robots that are not real and then feeling horrible when they've lost their marriage to a robot. What the fuck? I'll be honest, the part of that creeps me out the most about all of this was the particular line about judgment where it says, I don't want to sit there and judging that this sexual fantasy is okay and that this one isn't okay. That's not the journey that I signed up for. It is the journey that you signed up for if you're reading it. You don't have to read what people are... Again, if people are actually paying you $70 a year to talk to a chatbot, I think that part of what they're paying for with that $70 a year is the privacy of you not judging them. Is it okay to say that? Like, again, to be clear, I'm not saying that the people signing up for this service aren't fucking weird. There's something weird going on here, and there's something weird going on with the underbelly of our society that people are so lonely that this is what they are doing because they believe they cannot create meaningful connections with other people. And to be clear, I'm not judging from a place of superiority. I'm weird too. My real life dates usually go worse than this. Not kidding. But I still think that that person has some expectation of privacy. Like, is this going to be the next thing? End-to-end encryption for AI chatbots? Like, again, we already had, it took like 15 or 20 years to normalize the idea from, the time that instant messaging became popular to the time that end-to-end encrypted messaging became a trend. To get that, is that the next thing? Like, is the next frontier end-to-end encrypted messaging so that the proprietor of the AI cannot read what it is that you're saying to your husband? There are so many... It's because, like, even the hierarchy of the things that I find screwed up about this, like, just the chart of it's not even like what is screwed up about it. Just the hierarchy of what is screwed up about it is something that would actually take time for me to really sit with and digest in order to understand. I'll leave a link down below. That's it for today. And usually I hope you learned something. In this case, you're probably unhappy that you learned something. I can imagine many of you being very unhappy that you learned something. See you in the next video. Bye now.